Okay, let's continue with another problem. So we look at this and looks like they're the same denominator, but they're not. Okay, and remember that one trick that we want you to remember is x minus 2 can be the same as 2 minus x if I factor out a negative 1. So if I factor this one, then they're both going to be x minus 2, but they also both need a negative 1. So our common denominator is actually going to be negative 1 times x minus 2. And so this one we need to times by negative 1. And we also need to times this by negative 1. Okay, so that will give us a negative 15. And then this one is just fine the way it is, so we'll just do minus 7. And that gives us a negative 22 over a negative 1 times x minus 2. And this negative will cancel, and that 1 will disappear. So our final answer will be 22 over x minus 2. Okay, let's do a couple more and then we'll be done with this. So let's see. Okay, so here's one. First thing you want to do, if possible, is factor the denominator so we can find our least common. So x squared minus 4 is the difference of two squares, right? And then this is just x plus 2. And the reason we do that is because we'll keep our problem simple. We can see that we have an x plus 2 in both. So all we need over here is an x minus 2. Okay, and so our common denominator will be, might as well keep it x plus 2, x minus 2. And this one's good, so we'll keep our 12. And this one we have minus 3 times x minus 2. Okay. So once we've got our common denominator, let's combine our numerators. So we'll distribute that negative 3. We get 12 minus 3x, and negative 3 times negative 2 is plus 6, all over x plus 2, x minus 2. And then we'll combine like terms and get, I'm going to keep the x first, negative 3x plus 18 over x plus 2, x minus 2, and you want to factor that numerator to make sure that it cannot be factored or reduced, that we can't cancel a factor here. So let's just take a negative 3 out and we'll get an x minus 6. No, so see, if there would have been an x minus 6 in the denominator, then we would have had to cancel that, but you see there's not. Okay, so we're done there. All right, and this will be our last one here. So again, the first step, factor it. This one's already factored by itself. This one looks like we can factor x times x and 2 times 1. And since there's a negative 1 in the middle term, we'll make it a negative 2 plus 1. All right, so we can see that we have x minus 2, but we need the x plus 1 over here as well. All right, so our common denominator is going to be x plus 1, x minus 2. And this first fraction just is an x plus 1. And this second fraction is already done. So we're just going to plus 1. And then we'll combine that to become x plus 2 over x plus 1, x minus 2. And there's nothing to cancel. See, that we could cancel if they were similar, but there's nothing there. So we're done here. All right, this ends the section of adding and subtracting rationals, and go ahead and do your practice problems.